Hey everybody, welcome to HabNormals. It's our first show post Four Nations face-off. We're going to talk about that tonight as well, as we're going to talk about trade rumors. There's rumors. I don't know if there's anything specific about Jake Evans, but Jake Evans, Yoel Armia, basically being talked about as being possibly moved together. We're going to talk about the game last night, which was a great game last night, 4-0 over Carolina, and a game that I kind of forgot about, first game after the tournament, Ottawa. We'll give that a quick recap, and we'll do that right now as HabNormals starts right now.
Swagger down the street with your red lips and funky beat. You better hold your head up to the sky. I'm gonna roll with you till the day I die.
Yo, everybody, welcome in. Well, I just told you everything we're going to talk about, so we're going to do that with my regular co-host over there, that one over there, Matt. And we got a special guest for you tonight. We got Ryan Szporer from the Hockey Writers magazine. Now, I met Ryan. Say hi, by the way, Ryan.
Howdy.
I met Ryan at the Four Nations. They put us together. We sat next to each other up in the press gallery. And so we got Ryan on tonight. Like I said, he writes for the Hockey Writers. So if you have not read that it's, what would you call that? An online magazine?
An online hockey publication.
Yeah, an online hockey publication. And if you are a regular viewer here, we've had Treg Wilson on before. Treg Wilson also writes for the Hockey Writers. So, and you know Treg. Have you met Treg?
Yeah, I have. We've been writing for the Habs page on the site for the longest time together. I actually met him in person in Halifax a few summers ago. Him and Blaine Potvin, who's another one of the writers.
We know Blaine.
We haven't had Blaine on, but I've been following Treg and Blaine on Twitter for like a long time, and then finally got invited on to do a show with someone, and Blaine was on, and then Matt made friends with Treg online, and he's become a friend of the channel and the show. So we've had him on like 3 times already. So anyways, that's where Ryan comes from. We're going to do a lot of talking about hockey. We're going to talk about the Four Nations tournament because this is our first show since then. I believe, were we on last week, Matt? No, we weren't on.
No, Four Nations.
And we're going to lead off tonight with just go over the 2 games since the tournament, and that was a 5-2 win in Ottawa against the Senators, and last night at home against the Hurricanes, who they hadn't beat in 9 meetings and had only won 2 out of the last 19 meetings between those 2 teams. So Montreal was due to win. Were they going to win? I don't know, but it was a good time. The Canes hadn't been playing well. Coming into the game, they had lost 4 of the last 5. So, yeah, what did you we could talk about Ottawa, but to be honest with you, I don't care about that game. It was a good game and everything, but it was Ottawa missing a few regulars, and, Montreal dominated them, but I don't really care about that game. The last night's game was a really good one, even though it was a bit of a boring game. What did you think of the game last night, Ryan?
I thought it was boring in the sense that it was a relatively low event game.
Yeah.
But I think that's a testament to the game that the Canadians played, because obviously the Hurricanes are the better team. Yeah. It wasn't too long ago they probably had President's Trophy aspirations, but as you said, they haven't been playing well recently, much like the Canadians, I guess. I'd say I think after 2 periods or something, the Canadians had limited the Hurricanes to 11 or 12 shots on goal, which
very low shot total for both teams. Yeah. I think after 2, you're right. It was 10-11. 11 for Carolina, 10 shots for Montreal, if I'm correct.
So I think that's a testament to the game that the Canadians played. And they led 3-0 after 2. And you knew that the Hurricanes were going to come on in the third and try and salvage something. To their credit, they did play better in the third period. But of course, Lane Hudson sealed the deal with the insurance marker 4-0. Yeah, I mean, like you said, it wasn't like the most entertaining game, but the Canadians did what they had to do, and for their second win in a row after that horrible pre-Four Nations face-off stretch, it's what they needed.
You think they might be on another one of those, what was it, late December, all of January kind of runs? Because, I mean, that's what it's going to take if they're going to make the playoffs, which is, I mean, it's a slight chance, and it's really slight. But, I mean, that's what it's going to take. They're going to need to have a run like that.
Well, I mean, like the Capitals made it last season. They just snuck in with.
They just snuck in, yeah.
I think I mean, that's kind of a prayer. You're kind of hoping for a prayer or a miracle if it's that few points. But I'm looking at the standings right now, just so I don't screw it up. The Canadians have
that here
points in 58 games. So, yeah, there you go. Very convenient.
Yeah.
So, yeah, to get to 91, they need, if my math is correct, 32 more points over their.
I'm kind of seeing that they're going to need it. It's probably going to take 89 points. It's kind of, I guess, because a while back it was like 93. They're going to need 93. I know that's come down. I was reading Brian Wild actually today, which I have a few things on other things from him today. He says 89. I mean, I don't know if it's not hard and fast, obviously, but
yeah, I mean, great for the Canadians if it only takes 89. I mean, I don't honestly see it as being realistic that they.
No.
Honestly, heading into the season, if they got to like 85, I would have been satisfied. So I'd never really envisioned them super realistically making the playoffs. I hoped following the acquisition of Patrick Laine, obviously. Yeah. But I mean, I was just kind of anticipating year-over-year improvement and for them to make a run at a playoff spot in 2025, 2026.
We were kind of coming into the season. Yeah, we were kind of a little bit, I mean, wrong, but now it's turning out they might still do that. But we were like really gung ho. They're going to make the playoffs. They got a good shot anyway, and it wasn't really realistic when you look back at it. And here we are, with 24 games left. They still have a chance. I mean, they got to play like out of their minds. 30 points out of 24 games, but it's doable. If you look at their schedule, they've got from what I was looking at it this morning, and I think they got 16 winnable games. Doesn't mean they're going to win them, but there's 16 games that are winnable. I think looking at it now, and then there's 8 games against teams that would be a little more difficult in my opinion.
I mean, I was. It's weird because obviously in preparation for this podcast, I was looking at the schedule myself, and maybe it's kind of a byproduct of the run that they went on from December to late January. But I think all of those games are technically winnable. Like, no one team scares me as a.
I know what you're saying. I don't disagree because what you're basically saying is the teams that they beat in that run. Yeah, there's nobody here that they can't beat or that they didn't beat in that run. Basically, right? I don't think there's anybody here that they haven't.
They beat the Avalanche. They beat the Panthers. They beat the last 4 Stanley Cup champions.
Yeah, so
they did that fairly convincingly, in my opinion. So,
but are they playing that? Are they playing that way right now? That's the thing. I mean, 2 wins back from the break. I had said going into the break, people keep asking, what's wrong with them? They were tired. I mean, it was clear that this was a tired team that needed a rest, like many other teams in the league, obviously. But and they come back from the break and they look energized. They're playing well. They had time for some practice. You can see that helped. If they can play like that, there's a chance. But I agree with you. There's not really a team in the 24 games that you can look at and say there's no way they can beat that team.
I honestly would have filed the Hurricanes in that category. And I actually wrote a piece a few days ago about their 5 must-win games remaining because the Senators are on there twice, the Boston Bruins, the Detroit Red Wings. Those are all teams that they're trying to catch effectively. But the Carolina
Bruins are falling apart.
Well, the
still ahead
Canadians
of us.
in that regard, I'm sure they'll be all too happy to. But I had the Hurricanes in their final game of the season as
Yeah.
the last
That's
entry
right.
because, in my mind, if they are going to make the playoffs, and that's a big if, as we're discussing right now, it's going to come down to the wire. That's the only way it happens, and they're
Yeah.
probably going to have to win that last game of the season again. And if they make it that far, stay alive that long. So,
So last night's win, and think of that way, was huge in that because now they can go into they've got 2 more against the Canes, right? But now they can go into those games not thinking, well, we can't beat them, right? Now they can go in there saying, look, and not only did we beat them, it was pretty soundly too.
It was. I mean, like, I think by the end, the Hurricanes had taken over the tempo of play, but yeah, honestly, if you're up, when the Canadiens were up 3-0, I was like, all it's going to take is like 1 goal for them to fall apart.
Yeah, I had said sort of the same thing. Montreal kind of needs that next goal because if Hurricanes get it, this game's not over yet, you know?
But, you know, the Canadiens pulled it out, and
Yeah.
and Montembeault got his first win against the Hurricanes, first career shutout, obviously, against them. Suzuki scored his first ever goal against the Hurricanes.
Oh, what's that? Yeah, I didn't know that.
Both Suzuki and Laine scored 3 points each.
Yeah.
I think it was a good, you know, it's a kind of a cliche, but a character building win for sure. And, you know, right now, the next few games, that's their quote unquote easy part of the schedule. And, you know, they needed, I wouldn't say they absolutely need these last 2 wins, but for them to string wins together and like make go of it, they need like 5 straight wins or so. And, you know, the schedule.
And it's doable with their next 3 games. When you look at it, it's San Jose and 2 against Buffalo. That's doable.
San Jose is the one team that they beat when they went 1-7-1 heading into the tournament. And you know, they didn't exactly do it convincingly, but they won that game. I think no one game is a gimme, obviously, but you have to like their chances against the Sharks, who are still in last place, and the Sabres, who they face the next 2 games in a home and home.
Yeah, home and home series. Yeah,
if the Canadiens play like they're capable of, and we all know what they're capable of after that 1.5 month run, they should. With considering if they want to make the playoffs and they show up, you know, 5 game win streak should be in their future, but who knows what happens.
Well, I would go as far as say if they're going to make the playoffs, they need to win these next 3 games.
Yes,
because you know it's at the end of the season like this, they have to leapfrog over a bunch of teams, right?
Yeah.
You're running out of runway, and it gets harder at this time of year than say 20 games ago when they kind of started this, right? It gets harder as we get closer to the end. You know, you run out of time, so they gotta start this out with a heater of 4, 5, 6 games.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just to put it in perspective, this is kind of a stat that I looked up. On December the 1st, when they started that run on December 3rd, that was Patrick Laine's first game. They won against the Islanders. The day before that, December 2nd, they were last in the Eastern Conference with a record of 8-13-3, and they were 8 points back with 1 game in hand. This is with regard to the second wildcard spot. So they were potentially 6 points back, right? Then they went 16-6-1. On January 21st, after that run, they were in the second wildcard spot with a record of 24-19-4. Then they went 1-7-1 over a span of like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And they ended up 4th from last in the conference with a record of 25-26-5. And they were 6 points back with 1 more game played than the wild card Detroit Red Wings. So they gave back all the ground they had gained.
Yeah.
And then some over the last 1.5 months over a course of just a few weeks. And that's just the way, you know, it is in the NHL standings. Like,
it's tight. It's so tight, right?
Yeah. So they, like, to your point, they need to string wins together. They need a 5-game winning streak just to be able to think that they have a chance. Because right now, you know, they look good in the last 2 games, but as it stands now, I can't honestly say that I believe that they're going to make the playoffs. No,
me either. I mean, I have hope that they will, but like you said earlier, but I mean, you can't think that with that it's an uphill battle. What I'm happy about, though, is we're at basically March, right? We got one more game in February. We're going to play some meaningful games in March, and that was a hope that we all had, right? Meaningful games late in the season. Well, that's one of those steps, that you have to take to get to where they're trying to get to. So I'm happy for that.
I mean, that's what management had said at the start of the season. They wanted to be in the mix. Those were the words verbatim.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, the way that I'd written a piece like at the halfway mark when they were like in the middle of that run, and they weren't yet in a playoff spot. And I was like, if the season were to end today, like it would be a success just based on the way they proved.
I read that one. Yeah, I think because that sounds familiar. That I read that of yours. Yeah, I listen. It's a successful season because they've made progress. I mean, they've made progress. We're at a weird spot, right? We're not going to get a great draft pick because there's no way now that they're going to fall that low.
We don't know.
Well, I mean, okay, more than likely.
Okay.
They're more than likely. Although you're right, because trade deadline and it could be a total different look after March 7th, and they struggle a little bit. So that's true. But from looking at it right now, right?
Yeah.
And so they're going to have that like middle of the road pick. I'd rather they make the playoffs than get, like if you're going to be up there and you can't get that great pick, make the playoffs. So I'm kind of happy that we're not just stuck with, look, we're sitting here, but we got some really good hockey and some exciting and fun hockey out of it for us as fans. So I'm happy with that, and it's progress.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'd like for them to make the playoffs too. I think the fans, deserve it after the last few seasons, which have been incredibly rough.
Yeah, they've been trying.
I think the final in 2021 was kind of an unforeseen treat, and that has kind of sustained us.
Yeah, it has.
As a fan base over the last few years.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely time to show some improvement, and they have. But if they can take it that much farther, then I think it would be, a lot easier for management to build off that, and for the fans to stay patient a little while longer for the team to build a legitimate contender.
Patience and fully engaged. Yeah, Matt, you've been like really quiet.
I've been letting our guests talk. But no, look, I agree. Again, year 3, the rebuild. I just wanted to see progress at the end of the day, and yeah, I mean, I'm happy with what I'm seeing. I think, again, you've seen a lot of guys take another step. I think too, the Alex Carrier trade with Justin Barron, I think was a really good trade in the right direction, because again, that was a need that the Canadians desperately needed, right? We needed a right-handed shot defenseman regardless, but someone of that caliber that can be steady and kind of hold his own on his right side. And, as we saw, till unfortunately Caden Gooley got hurt, Gooley was able to do his own thing on the left. And, again, just kind of seeing things like that and seeing other guys kind of step up a little more. And again, I think we've seen kind of Slafkovsky get a little bit better. Nick Suzuki, I think, is going to be either right at a point a game or
one. He's one off. He's one off.
Yeah. Again, I think it's another good full year of progress, and with Lane Hudson's emergence as well on the back end, it's everything's going well right now. I'd say in terms of the rebuild and in terms of kind of building to where we need to get.
Yeah, where we're at is really good. All right, let's move on a little bit, because otherwise that was long for the. Did we even talk about those games? I don't even know. Okay, so the Four Nations tournament, everybody knows that has happened, and Canada, go Canada, suck it, Matt, won this tournament. You can see my sweater right over there. There's it. I got that, by the way. Right? Did I tell you about that? I got that from affiliate. From Fanatics. I'm an affiliate with Fanatics, so I got in their campaign. I got that for free. So love that.
I think you might have mentioned Fanatics, but I don't recall you getting a sweater for free. So
Yeah, I got the sweater for free. I had to do a video. Anyway, so yeah, Canada won. What a great tournament. Now that's where I met Ryan, so we know Ryan saw that for sure, that game. But let's talk about the two Canada-US games.
yeah.
We don't need to know from Matt because he lost. No, but Ryan, so we were at the game that they lost. It was a the Bell Center was electric.
Yep.
I mean that was an electric atmosphere. We didn't pull it off, but it was a pretty good game overall. It was right down to the wire. Didn't know for sure who's going to win. And then the start of that game.
Oh yeah.
3 fights. Oh my God. Now it took me a second or two to realize that they were fighting as soon as they dropped the puck. How about you? How did you see that?
Because it was, similar kind of feeling because it was so. Obviously, it was there was a lot at stake, and the political climate kind of served as it heated things up to a greater extent.
Oh yeah.
But even so, like I could not have predicted two teams in a short tournament like that going at it 3 times within the first 9 seconds of play.
Crazy.
So I was definitely awestruck with regard to how the game started. I didn't see that coming. And yeah, when I wrote my recap of the game, I was like, that wasn't on anyone's bingo card for the tournament.
No, it wasn't.
It should be for tournaments in the future because now we know it can happen. And that was a great.
Well, okay, but politically charged. It was. Hagel said at the end when we were in the locker room. I don't know if you caught everything that I had 3 voice. I lost them in transferring them to my computer, but I had listened to it, and he did say, "I did that for my flag, to defend my flag and country." So it was clear that for the Canadians, anyway, that this meant something that I don't really think, and Matt can talk to this. I don't think they understood completely. The Americans understood what was at stake for us.
All due respect to Matthew Tkachuk, who, when asked about the booing of the U.S. national anthem, he had said, "I didn't like it, and I'll leave it at that." And that's understandable. Like, obviously, no one wants their national anthem to be booed at, but I think it showed a lack of understanding of the situation as a whole, because you have the United States president of the United States, POTUS, Donald Trump, effectively implicitly threatening annexation of the country as a whole. That, whether you believe that to be realistic or not, it's just incredibly disrespectful to Canadians.
1000%. Incredibly dumb too.
But we're not gonna get into the political side.
But we're not. No.
How I agree with you. I don't think they understood, and I still honestly, I know Matt's a good guy. I know he's not right wing or anything.
Yeah, no, I'm firmly on your guys'
I
side.
still don't think
1000%. Seriously,
Matt and our other partners over there in Boston fully understand why I am so angry about the situation. I really don't think they fully understand that. And I think it was evidence on the ice, and I think in a lot of ways that was the difference in the last game.
Yeah, I don't know. To be fair, like, there was threat of annexation for that round robin game too, and Canada didn't pull it out, right? So I think that having on paper, let's be fair, the United States was a significantly deeper team. I don't think that's up for debate. So I think the fact that Canada was able to, like Connor McDavid said after that game, as they anticipated, that game came down to one shot, and then they just they weren't able to get it. Right. So that game could have gone either way in theory. I think the difference in the final was obviously Jordan Binnington, but it was also a matter of them just kind of making tweaks to the game and acknowledging that they could do it, and like it was a similar situation. Like they scored the game opening goal. They were down 2-1 at one point, and whereas they couldn't find that shot in the round robin game, Sam Bennett obviously gave it to them to tie it up 2-2 in regulation in the final. With Connor McDavid obviously scoring the tournament-winning goal in overtime. So ultimately, Canada was fighting for a lot, but I think it's just a matter of them having told themselves that they could do it and, making tweaks to their game.
Yeah, no, definitely. But it's something I think I had told, because we did a watch party thing, so we did a live stream for the final game, and I told them before the game started why we're going to win, and it's that extra something Canadian hockey players have that the Americans don't have yet, where they're able to dig a little deeper when they need to the most. Now, you're right, they didn't do it in that first game, but the first game that they played in the tournament, it wasn't for all the marbles.
Right.
So when you get to that, Canada just has that extra whatever. We still have that over them.
I mean,
and I also think that the political thing, it drove the players a little bit more.
I definitely think it was a factor. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It was a factor in how they played and how they didn't give up. And you got to think in Jordan Binnington. Listen, I had to apologize. I didn't make a video. I saw someone actually make a video that I should have made because I was shitting all over this guy. And, and he was nothing if not spectacular in the overtime. It does speak for the fact, though, he was a little bit maybe out of position at times. Usually when a goalie's that spectacular, it's because they have to make up for something. But it doesn't matter because he did it.
I was waiting for the shitty goal, too, the whole game. I was waiting for
Me too, man.
A little squeaker 5-hole.
Me too. Every time they went in on her, I was waiting for that goal to happen, and it didn't happen.
I mean, he should have won Player of the Game.
He should have. He really should have. You know why, though? Because I don't think anyone's explained it. This is my reason why. McDavid was good, but he wasn't spectacular in that game. He did get that winning goal, but that's about the biggest thing he did in the game. I hope I'm not wrong on that, but that's how I remember it. And Binnington was good, and he was just phenomenal the whole overtime.
I mean, they obviously don't win that game were not for McDavid's goal, but they don't get to that point were not for Binnington. In my opinion, Binnington. But
he saved 3 goals. He saved 3 goals that were apps for sure goals in overtime.
I mean, all that having been said, I have to give I know they gave tournament MVP to McKinnon, but I'd give it to McDavid over McKinnon personally. That may not be a popular opinion, but I just.
I would think you're in the minority there.
That's fine.
There's not. I think if I had a second, if it's not McKinnon, I think it is McDavid. Even though you could even look at it and say he was maybe a little bit underwhelming in the tournament, but man, this guy he had so many times where he just put the Jets on, and being there on that Saturday night. My first time ever seeing McDavid live, it's even more impressive live. The speed, the acceleration, the way he moves, those short strides. But man, does that I like I said, I hadn't seen him live, and it was really impressive.
You know who kind of like that too, and not to take away from Four Nations, but kind of going back to the Habs a little bit, is Alex Newhook. I saw him last season. I was at the Garden. The Habs were in town to play the Bruins, and that was the first time I had seen him in person, since back when he played in college. And it was crazy how much quicker he is in person than he when you watch him on TV.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
He's
insanely quick.
I think he just won the team skills competition as fast as skater.
Yeah.
No surprise, obviously.
No, not on the Habs for
more
sure.
coaching ability, but
But
McDavid's
got that funny. he's got such small strides, and yet he's so fast. Have you ever noticed that? He's really got these quick, small strides.
I just know he's really fast.
Yeah, he's so impressive live.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Must be watching that hockey coach there. Whoosh.
What?
He always talks about taking like 1,000,000 strides.
Oh yeah. Sean somebody. I can't remember the training thing. I haven't seen one of his videos in a while. All right, let's move on a little bit here. Let's I don't want to break down like the whole tournament, but let's do a 3 stars of the tournament as an overall 3 stars for Canada and 3 stars for the USA.
Okay.
What do you say?
Okay. So
Good?
yeah, can I go first?
Yeah, let's start with US.
US. Okay. So for the US, I'd go. Do you want me to do it 1, 2, 3 or 3, 2, 1?
Go 3, 2, 1.
Okay. Number 3, I'd go Jake Gensel.
That's what I got.
Number 2, Brady Tkachuk. And number 1, Matthew Tkachuk.
Yeah, I don't have Matthew Tkachuk. Okay, well, give your reason for Matthew Tkachuk being first. I'd like to hear that one.
I think, well, he was the player of the game against Finland in the US's opening game. Okay. And I just feel like once he and his brother were put with Matthews, that kind of sparked the team's offense. And, yeah, it carried through for him. I mean,
he popped his groin halfway through the championship game.
Is that when he did it, or he did it the game before?
No,
whatever it was. I think he played.
He only played half of the.
I know that
early the championship game, and I'm giving it to him in spite of the fact. Well, I just feel like he was a difference maker, and without him, the U.S. wasn't able to pull it out. So that's my justification, I suppose.
It's a fair point.
Matt, you go. Oh, you got more? No, go ahead. Go.
Yeah, I just like to give honorable mentions if I can. I know that's
go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, Zach Werenski did technically lead the tournament in scoring with 6 assists. So I'd give it. He just narrowly misses out for me, and Connor Hellebuck would be the one after that, just because he was obviously the best goalie of the tournament
overall. Yeah. No, it's true. But although he only played, he didn't.
Rick, don't you friggin' dare try to tell me Jordan Binnington was better than Connor Hellebuck throughout the tournament. Don't you dare.
I'm not saying that at all.
Championship game, maybe. Not the whole tournament.
I'm not saying that at all. Okay, Matt, you give yours then. Go ahead.
Me, I'm in agreement with you, Ryan. I got Jake Etzel as my 3rd star. 2nd star is kind of torn between Brady Tkachuk and Kyle Connor, because I don't know why Kyle Connor got benched in the final.
Yeah, that's the mystery right there.
Because Kyle Connor was having a great tournament. But I'll have to give it to Brady Tkachuk because he played in the final, and then Connor Hellebuck's my 1st star.
All right. I got 3, but the second one, I gotta admit, I'm not confident in it. But I agree. I will make it unanimous. Gensel for the 3rd star for the US. These guys, for me, why I'm picking them a lot is because they were, when I'm thinking back on the tournament and the games, they were the most memorable for me. So I realize I could be wrong, but for me, they're the most memorable. I'm not 100% sure on this one because I couldn't come up with a solid second. I gave it to Jack Eichel.
Yeah.
Just because because I remembered him there. And surprisingly, I'm going to give it to one of the 2 brothers that I hate. Brady Tkachuk for me is the first. I really hate Matt Tkachuk, and maybe that's why I didn't concentrate on him too much. But Brady Tkachuk was noticeable for me. He impressed me, and I don't like the kid, even though he was my pick that year. But since going on to the Senators, and he's I don't really like if he's on the Habs, sure, I'd like him, but he's not. But yeah, he stood out for me. He really did for some reason. So those are my 3.
I mean, for me, Sorry. For me, I like Brady Tkachuk, Matthew Tkachuk. They're interchangeable. In my mind, one of the Tkachuk brothers takes the first star.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah,
No,
I
totally
couldn't
fair.
I couldn't bring myself to make it Matthew.
Okay.
All right, so let's go with Canada. You go ahead. You lead. Oh well, actually, let's change it up. Matt, you lead off with Canada. Let's hear what the American says. Thought you were prepared.
Well, no, first and second star, and you can switch them. I don't care. McKinnon and McDavid. Third star is tough for me. Like I want to go Binnington, but he didn't really show up to the last game,
Agreed.
so I can't.
Yeah.
Probably Cale Makar. I mean, I can't really think of anyone to me that kind of stood out much.
I would agree with that. I had that trouble too. I didn't find, other than the top guys, that anybody stood out so much that I wanted to put him there. So,
I mean, I would. Sorry, please.
I mean, I thought Drew Doughty had a good tournament, but again, he didn't
stand out. But I agree with you. He had a
really
good tournament, but yeah, he didn't stand out like I was thinking he might. Say that.
Also, just quickly back to the U.S. too. I thought Noah Hannafin had a really good tournament.
But it's the U.S., so who cares?
Yeah, no. For me, I'd have to go Makar, McKinnon, and McDavid. The max. Makar, McKinnon, and McDavid.
By the way, just for anybody listening or watching, I'm American. I'm a dual citizen. I was born there. My parents are Canadian. I've been here most of my life. I can say nasty things about the U.S. I'm allowed. Just so you know.
I can't. So
yeah, you still can. I'm giving you permission.
I don't know how that would go.
Yeah, you can do it. You do as you want. All right. So give us your three, Ryan.
Yeah. So like I said earlier, I'd give McDavid tournament MVP. Or I would have given it to him. So he's number one for Canada. Then McKinnon, and then number three, I got to go Sidney Crosby. I think he did stand out. He was player of the game, I believe, for the game against Sweden. And I think he just continued to lead with aplomb over the course.
The leadership, definitely.
Well, it's not like he was absent from the score sheet the rest of the way, but he definitely, I don't think that Canada makes the final without him.
Without his leadership, I think the two, McDavid and McKinnon, the other two top guys, I think, they looked up to him without a doubt. He led the way. So,
but I agree that even though I would have given Binnington player of the game for the final, you can't give him a star for the tournament.
No, I mean he was shitty.
Well, I'll hold my beer. Number three for me is Binnington, solely on the overtime of that third game. I won't disagree with you guys, though. Realistically, he doesn't get a star, but it was so enjoyable. It was so fun to watch, to be on the edge of your seat, expecting the worst, and this guy made save after save. And at least three of them you can count, were spectacular game savers, literally, because they would have lost the game. So yeah, I'm giving it just on that. Because I'm doing that, number two, I couldn't decide between Crosby and McDavid. So they're co-winners of number two for me, because I think you can, make arguments for both of them. And I think they deserve it. So I'm doing that. Since I put the show together, I'm allowed to do that. Number one for me, McKinnon, because McKinnon was strong every game. If not the best player in the game, he had a strong tournament from the drop of the puck till the last, when the horn blew. In my opinion. So that's for me, 1, 2, 3.
No, it's a good list. It's a fair list.
Aside from the fact that he took two for number two, but whatever.
Well, no, because I really couldn't decide. So I just, I'm used to it on my show when I do the games. I'm allowed to do things like this.
Okay.
So I'm just used to taking the liberty.
I'll know for hopefully next.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to remember. Oh, yeah, Rick cheats. I forgot. All right, let's do the overall. I think we'll maybe get some interesting picks in here. We'll go back to you, Ryan, for to lead that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's huge surprise here. You know, McDavid #1, McKinnon #2, and Matthew Tkachuk #3, based on how I compiled my earlier list.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. I can't really argue that, right? Okay, Matt, you go.
Matt Tkachuk, Brady Tkachuk, Connor Hellebuck.
So 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. Which way?
1, 2, 3.
All right. That's pretty quick. Okay, well, I guess I'm the only one making it interesting. I wanted to be a little more inclusive. There was only one player that stood out for me when I was thinking back about it, and I was looking at the rosters, so it's not like just in my head. Only one player on the other two teams that stood out for me, and that was Michael Granlund.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think he had
really good tournament.
The last two games of the tournament. He had really good last two games anyway, and it stood out for me. So
he
I'm
gave
giving
you guys
him
quite the scare.
Yeah, no, he did. Listen, Michael Granlund had a good tournament, so no doubt that way. So I'm giving him the third. I'm gonna give second star to Brady Tkachuk because I couldn't give it to Matthew again. And of the Americans, he stood out most for me for whatever reason. And I'm gonna take my privilege again. I couldn't decide between McKinnon and McDavid for first star, so
I'm actually going to change my first star to Austin Matthews.
hang on, I gotta go throw up. Hang on.
I mean, he technically did help score that tournament-winning goal by missing his coverage. So, yeah.
True. Oh yeah, definitely.
I
You should get an
lit him
assist on
up
that.
in the locker room. You're going to give Connor McDavid enough time to read the paper, and have a cup of coffee, and then shoot from the slot.
Yep.
Like, come on.
And you know what? I'm going into the tournament. It was the first game, right? So I did a live stream. So I was listening, watching the game there too. And the whoever was the announcer, whatever, he was obviously a Leafs apologist. And they're going, Austin Matthews, yeah, I expect he'll have the most goals and the most points in this tournament. He's going to dominate this tournament. Yeah, I'm still waiting. He didn't. Did he have any goals in the tournament? I don't think so. Did he?
No, he had some assists.
Just assists, yeah.
So, by your own admission, he didn't have a good tournament. I just thought it.
I mean, it was hard to predict, but it was important.
No, look. All jokes aside, even with my three American 3 stars, no. In actuality, I'd have to go McKinnon probably 1, McDavid 2, and
Crosby 3.
Probably Brady Tkachuk 3.
That's fair.
One of the Tkachuks.
Yeah.
One of the Tkachuks.
Yeah, but a little biased there because.
But I do agree with you, Rick, that Granlund had a great tournament based on how clutch he was for the Finns. I mean, he had the game-winning goal against Sweden, and he had the 2 late goals against Canada, as you mentioned. So, I mean, he can definitely. I would not hesitate to put him on a third star.
Of what I saw of those teams in this tournament, yeah, he's the only one that really, when I thought about it, he's the only one I could really, and I didn't have to look at the list to think of him, but I was going over their rosters and, even looking at the names, and nope, it didn't, so, but yeah, I think he had a good tournament.
Yeah,
and I have him in fantasy, so good on me.
It's just a shame that, he's understandably left off of our list, I imagine, just because Finland was technically officially the last place team.
Yeah,
so it's start to give recognition to someone on.
Yeah, no, I just for the overall, I thought, let me give somebody from the other two teams, and that was the only guy. All right. Anybody want to add anything about the 4 nations before we move on to our beloved Habs?
No, I think we covered it pretty well.
I think so. Ryan, anything?
I'm good.
All right. I'll ask you a quick question. We'll talk about the Habs now. A trade deadline is fast approaching.
Yeah.
We have, I want to say 12 days, 11 days. What is it?
What is it, next Friday, I think.
9 days.
Yeah.
9 days? 9 days to trade deadline, which is Friday, March 7th. I believe it ends at 3 p.m. Am I correct? Still 3 p.m. or did it move? They moved that to 5. Do you know? No? It's either 3 or 5, but I think it's 3 p.m.
NHL Trade Deadline is 3 p.m.
Yeah, they didn't move that. I think it's the waiver wire thing when they moved that one to something. I was thinking that for some reason. All right, just to say, you don't have to go far into this. Are the Habs going to be buyers or sellers? Ryan, you lead off with top.
Sellers.
Matt?
I'm going to stick with kind of what I talked about a couple weeks ago. I do think they'll be sellers. I mean, obviously, they're not going to be like super hard sellers, but they'll be sellers. I think, again, we know the name, names like Evans, probably Armia, probably going to get moved. But yeah, like I said, I liken it to almost kind of like a soft seller because they're not going to go, because they don't have to. They're in a rebuild. They're not going to go kind of balls to the wall and try to trade a bunch of people or anything like that. Obviously not. But they'll make some moves that I think they're going to need to make. But other than that, nothing really crazy.
I don't think soft sellers because of only one. There's only one guy of the 4 expiring contracts that I think they'd be okay just to walk away from, because I don't know if they'll get any movement.
Dvorak?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's going to be interested. Even if they do, what are they going to get for him? I think the other 3 guys, though, I don't know if they're soft sellers.
One hockey puck.
I think with even Savard, I think you can get decent, return. Nothing. It's not going to wow you, but if you can get a third, anything like a second or third, that's a decent. I just think for Dvorak,
maybe get a third for Savard.
You might get a 7th for Dvorak.
I honestly, I don't think it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be shocked if Hughes was able to get a first for Savard. He's not worth the first.
You think still?
I'd crap poo my pants.
Like last year, yeah, I was saying that, but I don't know about this year. But
GMs do stupid things on trade deadline day.
That's the one thing, right?
When they're scouting Justin Barron,
you get the GM of of a contender, and they need that experienced guy on the right.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then
who has won a Stanley Cup? So
who has got Stanley Cup experience and pedigree. Who's like a coach on the ice and on the bench, an extra coach. That's what the Habs players say. Yeah, you might be right, but you're literally you gotta get that right guy. Absolutely right guy.
I mean, objectively, he's not worth that much. I acknowledge that.
I don't think still. Like I don't think this year. But I mean, a 3rd round pick for Savard. Yeah, and listen, if they're of a mind that they'd like to keep him around,
maybe
you re-sign him in the offseason. Because Jack-Eye loves him, and I think he's helped Jack-Eye a lot. So
and Savard
might be value there.
Like a veteran.
I would not re-sign him in the offseason.
But there might be some value there having him around. But they don't. It's like for a season. I'm not talking for term. 1 year at less than he's making now. That's what I'm talking.
Yeah, 1 year like vet min. Yeah, maybe I could entertain that.
I'm not saying he doesn't have value, but I am saying that he is a remnant of previous administration. And Hughes came in.
It's a roster spot issue.
Well, all I'm saying is when Hughes came in, he made a point of saying that he wanted an offensive-minded hockey club. That's not Savard.
That's definitely not Savard. No, I agree. But you do need you need a guy like Savard there. Like you don't be Savard.
You've got Carrier.
You do.
And I said that when we made that trade, I said that now makes Savard expendable.
Not totally though, because you're lacking right shot defensemen.
I do agree that the Canadians need a right-handed defenseman because I think that they should take their time with Mailloux and the Logan Mailloux in the minors. I don't think they should call him up. He's still exempt from waivers next season.
Yep.
So
he still needs work.
And
no harm in doing that.
And I think ideally, it's not what the Kings are going to do, but I think ideally you play Goulet on his left side. So that gives you Carrier and
That's it. That's all we got on the right, other than Szporer.
And Reinbacher, if he's somehow
Reinbacher, though, with the injuries, though, you're looking at another year at least for him.
So I mean, I think like if the Canadians could acquire someone at the trade deadline, maybe you're looking at trade bait lists. I believe Connor Murphy of the Blackhawks is available. He's got another year under contract, if memory serves. I would not be upset if the Canadians acquired him.
Guy that gets injured a lot, though, if I'm correct.
Oh, so he'd fit right in.
Good one.
Will you shut
true.
the hell up about the injuries? They've been really good this year, all right?
Yeah, they have this
year.
year.
But
they have this year, but we're still making jokes.
Unless you count Patrick Laine missing like 2 months out of training.
It's not his fault that the Toronto Maple Leafs called up a piece of shit from the Marlies.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really look at that one.
I mean, Goulet, too, that's just a freak thing. I mean, I'm sorry. Anybody who takes a skate blade to bare skin's getting sliced.
I will admit they've been better than in recent past years. But, if Emil Heineman is getting hit by a car, then
okay, but you're talking bad luck. I don't know if you can. I mean,
that's all we're talking about,
right? But I mean, you can't.
Bad luck upon bad luck.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do. Like, you can't do anything about that, But at least they're not getting the recurring, like, guys out, comes back too early, out again. Like, at least they stop that kind of stuff with the new medical staff.
All I'm saying is I believe wholeheartedly that Heineman's injury and Goulet's injury were significant factors in their 1-7-1 slump. And I believe that
1,000% agree. 1,000%.
With Doc now injured.
Do you know what it is, though, the injury? Do you know by chance? Lower body. That's
yeah. I don't think they've disclosed what it is.
I don't think so either. Just thought maybe you'd heard.
But yeah, I'm just saying, like, it's too soon to say that injuries haven't played like a serious. They've been a factor this season.
But I mean, not even close to the last 2 seasons. Come on,
not
even close.
True, but they're still like they can
normal. It's like normal, like a normal team. It's not unusual, the injuries that we've had. I don't think, anyways. Personally, I guess maybe because it's been so bad. Like, this doesn't seem that bad compared. You know what I mean? So I don't know. What can I say? All right, let's talk about trade predictions because it's been revealed. I guess I don't know how this came out, but Montreal's looking to potentially move Evans and Armia as a package in order to hopefully get that first round pick, because it's obviously looking like getting a first round pick for Evans, while they probably could have done that last year if it was that market, doesn't look like this year that's the same market. I don't know if that's because teams don't have the first round picks. They want to hang on to them because there's good draft coming up next year as well. I don't know, but anyway, what do you think about that?
I mean, if they're able to get a first round pick for Evans, keep in mind they've been trying to trade Armia for like ever.
Yeah, okay, but you have to admit, when they sent him down last year and he came back up, there's a change in him. Like he's really as a fourth liner, which we saw in 21 in the playoffs. He was great as a fourth liner in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. That's his role. He's a great penalty killer, and he's really good with the right line mates on the fourth line.
I mean, I agree that he produced upon getting called up. I mean, he set a career high in goals, if memory serves, but he also finished the previous season fairly strongly from a production standpoint. I don't have the exact stats in front of me, but I do know he did fairly well after starting the season horribly, and they demoted him nevertheless to start last season. So, as far as I'm concerned, he's doing what he should have been doing. And the Canadiens won't want to re-sign him based on Pierre Maguire having gone on record as saying that when he was with the Senators or whatever, the Canadiens had tried to trade them Armia. So it's been going on for years. So if they have to trade Armia with Evans to get a first-round pick, if just a second-round pick, I like Armia, but to me it doesn't really matter. It's inconsequential.
Yeah, he's gone. No, they're moving him.
Yeah, so if they
without it, I agree with that. Without a doubt, they're moving him. No, I think all 4 of the expired contracts, if they could move them, they're moving them.
100%. I mean, you made a good point with regard to Savard, but I still say that they move him. If they can find a new home for Dvorak, sure. But and I agree with you when you said. Ultimately, Dvorak hasn't been a good fit with the Canadiens. No. That's pretty much unanimous. And yeah, I mean, I think Beck has shown, despite I think he's still pointless in 7 games with the Canadiens this season, but I think he's shown that he could take Dvorak's position at the very least. Yeah, maybe Evans's. So
he's showing he's NHL ready, though, at least as a minimum. Beck looks at NHL ready now.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, you never know over a full season, but based on what he's projected to the role he's projected to fill as a bottom 6 center, you're not necessarily looking for him to set the league on fire. So I'm not too concerned about his lack of points up to this point.
I think his two-way game's been pretty solid too. Especially last night, and I thought in general, I thought the Canadiens did a really good job just playing defense. But I like what I saw at Owen Beck on the back end. Yeah. I think I agree with Rick. I think he is at bare minimum. He's ready to play NHL hockey, and I think to take a guy like Evans's place. I mean, I think the two-way. He's a two-way type of player. That's there and. It'll be a lot cheaper. He's a lot younger, right? And so, yeah, I mean, I think Owen Beck should be able to step into that role.
Yeah, well, if you look at last night, Beck replaced Doc on second line. Second line's been underwhelming in the analytics. Those numbers, I'm not best with those numbers, but I read Brian Wild most games after the game. So apparently Beck's numbers as a second line center for I don't know if it was shot chances, whatever, are better than Doc's already. Yeah. He contributed, he helped that line. Yeah, he looks NHL ready, and Devo definitely gone. And it helps you to be able to trade Evans as well. You look at not only Beck, but they were talking about Kapanen now. Kapanen's doing really good in Sweden. You got to think out of camp. If the roles are there, the spots are there for them to take, they're probably going to fill those next year. So you can't have these guys here because you don't have spots.
I mean, Ivan Demidov is obviously coming, or supposedly coming. Fingers crossed. And
he's coming.
Can't forget about Joshua Roy. I think that's. The only question mark is whether or not Doc remains that second line center. I'd like to think that this season has just been an outlier for him, and that he's going to be able to, get better as time goes on relative to his the injury that he sustained last year. If not, maybe they need to look into acquiring another second line center.
Yeah, and they got to make that decision soon because they're running out of time to decide on that. What if there's a deal out there for them for a second line center in this trade deadline? Well, I don't think there will be, though. But
I agree. But just to put the name out there, although however unrealistic it is, Elias Pettersson is supposedly. And
it sounds like that'll be kind of a draft day.
Yeah, I don't think that's a fit.
I'm just saying that because of how both he and JT Miller were apparently available, and Miller got traded. And I don't know. I don't know if the Canucks are going to trade Pettersson too. Probably not. But on the off chance he's available and the Canucks call up Hughes on the phone, he's got to take that call, obviously. Like, he can't turn down an opportunity to pick up a player of Pettersson's caliber. And yeah, he would fit in. I think he would be a above average second line center, if not a first line center. So
yeah, see, I don't necessarily agree with that.
okay.
Excuse me. Nick Suzuki is your first line center.
Yes.
I don't think that's going to change.
Okay.
He's also 5'11". I think if you're bringing in a guy to be behind him, you want a guy that's a 6'2" and up. He's got to be that big. I don't think Pettersson's that big. So right away, I think just from that standpoint, I don't know that that's the guy. I don't know that even though he's talented, I know he puts up points, all that. I don't think I want my second line center to be the same size as my first line center unless they're both 6'4". Personally, that's how I see it.
I can agree with that in principle, but if the guys without size aren't scoring, then like that was supposed to be Doc, right? Like,
yeah, no, I get it, and I don't know if they're gonna. I think the second line center thing is an off-season thing for them. I don't think they're gonna find that guy at the trade deadline. So they have basically 24 games. Is Doc? I mean, he's out right now. Is he gonna show them that he is that guy in the next 24 games? I don't think that's gonna happen. So I kind of think they're gonna make that decision. That listen. If we can find the guy that we're looking for, we make that deal and find. But I really don't think it's Pettersson.
that's fair.
And I don't really like that $11 million cap hit either.
Yeah, I don't like that one either. Now the cap's going up significantly, so I don't know that that'll be an issue really in the long run. But I don't know. I want to bring in a guy that's making $11 million. Yeah.
I mean, they brought in Line, who's making like under 10, right?
8.7.
And by acquiring him, they kind of
yeah, but it's for one more year after this. Yeah, but I mean, Pettersson just signed recently. He's like another 5-6 years at 11.
I think up until 2032.
Yeah, it's significantly different than Line with one more year at 8.7.
That's true.
So I don't see how you can't really compare that. But for me, the issue is the size. Like, I really don't want to have two basically undersized.
Line's also 6'5".
Yeah, but he's a winger, so and listen, he's so up and
Granted,
down.
he's years away, but like Michael Hage, I think is 6'1", 6'2".
Yeah, Michael Hage is big enough. I just want a guy that's 6'2"
years
or
down
more.
the road, but he's got, I think, a legitimate chance to.
I think Michael Hage does.
Not for nothing, right? But Pettersson is 6'2", just weighs 176.
Okay, so he's 6'2", but he is a little bit underweight then.
Sure.
I just think I want a guy for second line to play behind Suzuki. That's a little more physical as well. Like, I want a guy like that. For me, Pettersson's not the guy. And listen, I did a video a couple of years ago that I laugh about now, was saying that I wouldn't trade Doc for Pettersson. Now I regret the video, but I don't think Pettersson is the guy here. That was my point, I think.
Okay, but JT Miller. I'm looking up the trade right now, So traded from Vancouver Canucks with Eric Brandstrom and Jackson Dorrington to New York Rangers for Victor Mancini, Philip Hedl, and a conditional round 1 pick in the 2025 draft. If, and it's a big if the Canadiens could pull off a similar trade, so we're talking about a player of slightly
What
better.
you mean is what they gave back for Miller. If we could give that little to get Pettersson, is that what you're talking about?
I'm saying if you find a similar trade between the Canadiens and the Canucks for Pettersson, would you be happy that the Canadiens acquired him?
Yeah, I don't know that I see. I'm not really thinking about those components when I say I don't think Pedersen's the guy. But I get your point. Like if you get him really cheap, but there's more fact. Like you could say that with Line, right? We gave up basically nothing to get Line. But I mean, he had 1 year left in term. That extra 4 or 5 years of term for Pedersen to me is a big thing to worry about.
And that's a good point. I mean, I can't disagree with the logic. I'm just saying, like, if I'm an opposing team, a center line, Suzuki and Pedersen, potentially Doc still, Beck, no, Hage on the way. That would give me pause. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I can't really disagree. But you know what I might do is make the deal, but flip Pedersen for the guy I want. Because that might be able to be done. So I could say, yeah, I might try to do that. But I do get your point that, if you had Suzuki, Pedersen, a big Doc, and Beck is 6'2", and Hage on the way, you're still pretty solid down the middle. And I agree with that. But I really stuck on Pedersen doesn't play a big enough game at center physically for me. I want a guy that's a little better at that.
That's a fair point. I just think that you're thinking of Kirby Doc. That's all.
Well, what do you mean I'm thinking of Kirby Doc?
Like, ideally, that's what the player Kirby Doc would have transformed into.
Yeah, no, 100%. Because if Kirby Doc, before the knee injury, that guy that looked like we were getting, like he was finally coming out, that's the guy that I believe that we need, that kind of guy. Because I think Doc was starting to show some solid physical play, dominance even physically at times. Literally just put his arm out and strong arm guys and just skate through them. So that's the kind of guy, yes, that I would like to have. I don't know that we're going to get that at this point now from Doc.
I mean, I like I said, to start this specific conversation, I remain hopeful or cautiously optimistic or stupidly optimistic that, he just needs more time. But I don't know. As you pointed out, the Canadians need to make a decision.
That's the problem.
And I'm with you there, Ryan. 1,000%. I agree. It's kind of being in between a rock and a hard place. Because I think, Doc probably could use a little more time, but we're at a point now in the rebuild where you have to make that decision. Because
you got to make the decision. Because I kind of think next season we're going to see that Doc. He's going to be over that injury. He's going to be ready. I think we're going to. But can you wait till then, though? I don't know.
Well, with a guy like Demidov coming over too, it's like, do you
need a center for him?
Again, and no disrespect to Kirby Doc, but do you?
I like Doc a lot.
Kirby Doc centering Ivan Demidov, or would you like? And again, I actually would be okay with Elias Pettersson coming over.
Yeah, when you think of it that way, because Demidov.
Would you rather have Elias Pettersson centering Ivan Demidov? Because again, Pettersson doesn't really play that physical game, but he's a lot more skilled. And I think he's a better passer of the puck. I mean, I'd rather have him slinging the biscuit to the line over here or Demidov over there.
Yeah, right? But then you might have 3 guys that just don't play a physical game. I don't know that I like that either.
Right. Well, no, and I agree. I agree there too. It's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't type of thing.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree that the second line center that the Canadians need is kind of a unicorn. So I don't know how they go about finding him. Unless
I don't know that he's a unicorn, though. It's just not easy to find one. I guess that's what you mean by unicorn. But I think they're out there, but you kind of need to draft a guy like that and develop him.
That's what I'm saying. Like, when I say a unicorn, I mean, obviously hard to find, first of all, and then available. So,
yeah, I mean, in that sense, yeah, you're right. It's just, it's rare. You're not going to get a Jack Eichel very often out there available.
I mean, like I said, the Canes don't necessarily, the Canes can go out and theoretically acquire a second line center. They don't necessarily need to trade Doc in exchange. So they could keep Doc and see what transpires. It just depends how they acquire this supposed second line center and what they give up for him.
Yeah, you know what? When having this conversation, I guess I would have to say that since it is really difficult to get that guy, yeah, I guess if Pettersson is something they can get, you kind of have to say, yeah, he might not be ideal for what I want, but I mean the talent level is there, and you want a guy that, yeah, that it has the talent to work with both Line and Demidov to make that line work. So yeah. I might change my mind.
Yeah, and look, those three guys aren't necessarily like the most physical players, but that's why when they're out there, you throw Gouli and Carrier to back them up.
I get it, but I'd like a little more physicality.
We just need to get the Canucks on board, guys. That's that's the missing ingredient.
Well, I just saw something today about it.
Money wise, like they could trade Carey Price's contract too to make it, depending on how much they'd have to take on.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't.
It's fairly doable.
Again, like if we're still talking about Pettersson, right? Like if it's a deal similar to what the Miller one, I think it's doable. I just don't know if the Canucks are looking to trade Pettersson after they've already traded Miller.
Yeah, well, there's a story out today. I should have.
Yeah, it sounds like close to the deadline, draft day.
Yeah, it sounds like it might be, but yeah, draft day they may have made a decision that we're going to trade him because it didn't get any better. It depends on how it goes in Vancouver, I guess. But yeah, a story came out today that because I was telling Alex, who Alex is one of our partners, he's a Flyers fan, so he's been talking recently because they need centers desperately. They need his hope is they get Pettersson. And I've been telling him, no, he's not going to be available. They just traded Miller. Like, there's no way. But apparently, maybe so. So, yeah.
Well,
you never know, right? I mean, that's the whole thing. You really don't know sometimes.
You don't. And honestly, if the Canadians decide to stick with Doc next season, I'd be okay with that too. Me too, because I kind of think Doc is gonna break out. We've seen love, so it's not like it would be a shock. It would just be disappointment if he didn't put it all together again. So
yeah, but the thing is, when you think about it, they could kind of wait because I mean it's only year 4 of the rebuild next year. It's not like so it depends, right? It's their decision. Do they want to wait and see, or are we going to try to see if we can get somebody? But you know what? They could go look. They might not be able to get anybody anyway, and that makes their decision, right? So who knows? Who knows? One thing I will say, our GM Kent Hughes. I'll trust him to make the right decision.
I have more faith in this administration than I did the last. That's for sure. But I will say that I also know that Kent Hughes is not immune to making mistakes.
Well, nobody is, of course. But I'm saying, like you maybe better put the way you did say it. But I have a lot of faith because up to now, like I liked everything that he's done. Basically, maybe you can quibble a little bit on one or two, but I mean, basically that record's solid and a lot better than the previous administration. So yeah, I'm really happy.
I don't even think it's close.
Yeah,
it's only been 3 years of this administration too. I don't think
until he does something that I go, well, wait a second, now I got to think about. Until that happens, I'll trust in what they're doing.
I mean, to be fair to Marc Bergevin, of whom I'm most certainly not a fan, I don't think this was ever his mandate to rebuild the team from the ground up. So we can't really. It's almost apples to oranges. So it
wasn't his mandate, but it should have been. Like that's what he should have been doing. But you're right. It wasn't. It was to what did he call him? A retool. His mandates were to retool, but he wanted to do it every couple of years.
He had at the end like 2 5-year plans. That's what.
Yeah, right. 2 foot. Although not true. It was one. The first one was never a thing. That was a fallacy. The first that we thought was a 5-year plan, that was never a thing that they agreed to.
Well, I'm
The
just
second
speaking,
one was.
I'm just speaking about how GMs generally get like that's just like a 5-year plan. That's
No, I know, but apparently the first one, which we all talk about, but I did a video about it. It was not a thing that they ever agreed upon a 5-year plan. They're just a retool.
okay. Yeah, but like ultimately, like he didn't do much. Oh, sorry. He made it to the Eastern Conference Final in his second year with the team that Bob Gainey had constructed. So he had that.
No, listen, he was what he was anyway.
Listen, I'll give him this. He did draft Caden Gooley and Cole Caulfield. So, like, I can't.
The last
totally
couple of
shit on
years, he figured out to let the other guy do the drafting.
He also drafted Logan Mailloux. So
he did. He did. At the beginning, we were all like, what the hell are you doing? Now we're like, all right, cool.
Yeah,
he's really good.
He left us with a few nice pieces at the end.
Did also sign Scott Gomez and Brian Gianto.
What?
Well, we don't like him again. So why did you say
who? Wait a second. Wasn't that Gainey that signed?
Was it Gainey? I don't know. I
don't remember. You got me confused there. It was Gainey.
I couldn't remember.
Yeah. He's the one who Bergevin, in one of his first orders of business, he's the one who bought out Gomez's contract.
Right.
Okay.
He got rid of Gomez for us. Yeah. That's. Listen, Bob Gainey, great player. Love Bob Gainey. Wasn't the best GM. I
mean, he at the end of the day, he still put together a team that, in my opinion, was capable of reach the Eastern Conference Final.
I get it, but overall was not the best GM. Sorry, he was not.
That's fair,
I think. But I mean, I love Bob Gainey.
Yeah.
In my day, that he was one of the captains anyway. All right, let's move on to we kind of talked about who's going to move. Who is there any players out there like you can say specifically I want them to go after this guy? Do you have anybody? I couldn't think of anybody for me.
Well, like I mentioned, it's just like I put forth like Connor Murphy on defense on the right side.
You did. Yeah.
And down the middle, but it's hard to assess which players are going to be available in exchange for expired contracts. So you don't really know. Like if the Canadiens are able to, get decent futures in exchange for, Armia, Evans, Savard, and Dvorak, I'm happy. So I can't really.
And I always say this, and it's I feel this is true. We could talk about all kinds of players. Usually the guys we talk about, not the guys that end up that are the guys involved in any trades coming here. So, it's almost redundant to say, oh, I want this guy and that. It looks like, are we going to get him? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have anybody in mind.
I agree. I mean,
you could trick Don Sweeney into thinking the Christian Dvorak sliced bread.
Or listen, try it again with Nashville.
Hey, we'll take Merkelov from you.
We can try it again with Nashville. And because they didn't. Did you hear the story with Nashville?
Actually, yeah.
Would Barron?
Rick, I'm glad you brought this up because Ryan, do you know anything more about that?
I do not.
Do you know what the story is when they got Barron and they saw this is not the guy we thought we were getting. Apparently. Not only is it we thought he played different, they thought they were getting somebody else, apparently.
Who?
We don't know that. He wouldn't say Trotz. He wouldn't say this is not the guy I thought we were getting. But it wasn't meant in that term we thought he was a little different. I think they thought Barron was somebody else. There was a screw up in their scouting or something.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past the Predators based on their moves from this past offseason up until this point. So it's possible.
So we all thought the Predators would actually be pretty good with those offseason moves, but nothing worked. So Barry Trotz might be also one of those guys. Great coach, maybe not a great GM.
I mean, I agree that a lot of analysts were saying that they won the offseason with signing Stamkos and Marchessault. But ultimately, those guys, in my opinion, it's easy to say in retrospect, but the signs were there that Stamkos was on the downside of his career based solely on his age. And
well, true, yeah, and Marchessault too. I mean, he's older, isn't
Yeah.
Marchessault older?
Yeah, so like you were taking a chance that they'd have maybe like 1 or 2 good years, but you were
And
taking
they signed them to monster contracts. No,
not as bad as that, but that they're definitely on the hook for like I think 4 or 5 years.
yeah, that's what I mean by monster. I don't mean like $20 million, but like more term and money than for their age that you would think that I would have thought. So
yeah, and then you trading Askarov to San Jose Sharks.
Yeah, for
trading Alex Carrier for Justin Barron.
And what did they get back for Askarov? It's like nothing. They didn't, for the quality they gave up. That was a one-sided deal, I think. No, or am I wrong on that? Anyway, I think Trotz is one of those kind of not the greatest GM, or it's his first year. So
I'm looking at the trade right now. Traded from Nashville Predators with Nolan Burke and a 3rd-round pick in the 25 draft to the San Jose Sharks for Magnus Krona, depth goalie, David Edstrom, and a conditional round 1 pick in the 2025 draft. So effectively, Edstrom being a late 1st-round pick himself. So effectively 2 1st-round picks.
Late ones, which, I don't know. I think that might have been a bad move right there. Yeah. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Nashville, so let's not do that, and let's go into the final segment of the night. Let's do a quick prediction how you think next week's games are going to go. We got tomorrow's game Thursday, which if you're listening to this or watching, it's just coming out on Thursday. We filmed this on Wednesday. So Thursday at home to San Jose. Saturday they're in Buffalo, and then Monday they're at home to Buffalo. How do you think those games are going to go, Ryan? Just wins, losses. You don't have to give scores.
Yeah, I think they beat the Sharks. And I'd like to think that they sweep the home and home with the Sabres, but I think realistically they drop one of those. I think they need to win. I think they need a 5-game win streak to get back in it. I don't think they're going to get it.
Matt, how do you think it's going to go?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of on that same page. Sharks should be a win. They really should sweep both games against Buffalo. They'll probably drop one, probably the game in Buffalo. So it wouldn't shock me if they go 2-1-0, but again, I mean, I think they're more than capable of winning all 3 of these games.
I think totally in agreement. San Jose, they're going to win that one. I think they're going to win all 3, but I think I'm the opposite of you guys. The game I'm not sure of that I think they'll win in OT is the one in Montreal, because they've been a pretty good road team, Montreal. So I kind of think they're going to go to Buffalo and beat them there in Buffalo, but it's the Monday game that I'd be worried about. I think he'll go to OT. I think Montreal will win, and I think, they're going to get their 3-game or their 5-game win streak. That's how I see it.
The problem is, like, they effectively need another run, like they put together start December to be able to make the playoffs. And if you look at their schedule, these are the games they absolutely like. This is the easy part of their schedule. Next up is the Oilers and the Flames.
Yeah.
And then the Canucks, teams that are either in a playoff spot or battling for one.
Yeah.
But
overall, they have they have one of the easier
yes, I agree.
schedules.
Yes, but
so Yeah.
these are the games that they absolutely need to have, and if they don't, then like I don't think we can call them playoff hopefuls.
No, I agree. But it's a good test. And,
Sure.
you know, they're meaningful games. It's a test for them to see, do they have what it takes this year to go farther or not? So we'll find out a little bit there. I think they passed the test for now. I think it's too hard what they've got to do to make the playoffs. So I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but I'm really pumped that we're going to be in March and they're playing games that are important and have meaning for them for playoff hopes.
Yeah.
So I think that's huge.
Progress.
And that's it. Anybody got anything to add to this before we wrap this up?
Nope.
Matt?
No?
No. Matt just says, hey, where's my bed? All right. So let us know in the comment section if you agree, disagree with us at all. Give us a subscribe if you haven't already, and a thumbs up if you like this podcast. And thanks to Ryan for joining us first time. I think it went really great. And so thanks a lot, Ryan, for being here. We really appreciate it. Let us know. Let Ryan know what you thought in the comment section. So please do that, and we'll answer you back if you leave us a comment. And that's it. We'll be back next week. As always, same bat time, same bat channel. I always say that. We'll go over whatever is coming up over the next week. We'll see if we were right on these predictions. So till then, stay safe out there, everybody. Peace out. Have a great, whenever you're watching this, have a great day. And we'll see you next week. And that's it. And we're going to say, whoops, I hit the wrong button. We're going to say goodbye. And ciao, everybody. Have a great one.
Later, peeps.
Swagger down the street with your red lips and funky beat. You better hold your head up to the sky. I'm gonna roll with you till the day I die.